Hey guys, welcome to Mike It Yourself. On today's video, we're going to LEDify the Road Glide today. So what I mean by that is we're going to swap out our filament style bulbs and lenses. We're going to swap those out to LED lights and replace these with some smoked lenses. We're going to do it in the front and in the back, and then on top of that we're going to add in some LED blades that go just below kind of the cover here, and we'll have to route those wires along the saddlebag itself with a connector to a wire harness that goes under the seat. All of this stuff is plug and play and should be relatively easy to do, and the cost of it is very reasonable. So let's take a look at the LEDs and stuff. Alright guys, so here's the equipment that we're going to be installing. I don't have the smoke lenses here right now, but it's the same as your typical stock lens, except for it's not red or amber. It's going to be smoked clear. The LEDs both look like this, so regardless if it's the front or rear, the only difference is the color that the light comes on. So it's just a flat panel that you plug in to the socket, and again, these are 1157s, so that means you have to have running and flash. If you only have flash, then you need an 1156, so that's a different bulb socket. So make sure if you're buying some you pay attention to that. For the touring bikes, I think they all have running lights on it, so 1157 is the way to go. You can look it up on Harley's website and a bunch of other websites to tell you exactly which one you need. So that's a simple swap, and you pop the cap on. So that's not a big deal. The cool thing is these bad boys. So these are LED blades that will go onto the saddlebags, and if I read the description correctly, they're sequential, so they should kind of like do the Knight Rider looking thing. And if you're too young to know what Knight Rider is, then YouTube it and look at the front of the car. I don't know what to tell you. But should be pretty cool. It says it has 5 functions. I can account for brake, running, turn, and I'm not sure what the other 2 are. So that's going to be a surprise for us. It is totally plug and play. So at each end of these you have a connector, and then this device here is what plugs into your harness. So basically what happens is the your stock harness plugs into this, and the other side of that harness then plugs into this, so it kind of passes through this box. It's got some double-sided tape here if you want to mount it somewhere, and then here are the 2 plugs that you need to go into. Now the one thing you're going to have to do once you do this installation is figure out which is left and which is right, because it's not marked. So it's very simple to do because you just unplug and plug. So if you plug it in, you hit your left blinker, the right one blinks, you swap these 2 connectors and you're done. It's very easy. And yeah, so we're going to jump into this right now. I've got to take off the seat to the bike so we can access this harness, and then we're going to have to clean the inside of the saddlebag, because and I mean the outer inside of the bag, not the actual inside. The kit comes with these little mounts here to route your wire through, and you want to make sure you don't have any dirt or wax that's on your saddlebag, because the double-sided tape here will fail. So you get that nice and clean, use some rubbing alcohol to clean that off with, stick these to it, and you want to get all the way to basically your connector, so that way if you have to take your bag off, all you do is unplug this from this harness, and then you can remove your bag. You don't want to zip tie this, or you don't want to stick this onto your bag, zip tie this wire to your frame, because then you're going to have to cut your zip ties off every single time you want to take off your saddlebag. So just as a note, pay attention to that. The other thing is the way these mount to your saddlebags is with red 3M tape. So you want to make sure that the surface that you're going to stick this to is also free of any debris or wax, so that way you get a good adhesion to the bag. Another thing that you're going to have to look for is when you go to install this, you need to make sure, because your natural instinct, or at least mine is try to butt this thing up as close as you can to the saddlebag lid, But keep in mind those lids, they're sealed, and you want to make sure you don't interfere with that seal. So what I recommend doing is, got this thing upside down, is to take some nickels or some thick washers, whatever you have, to give you an equal space between the lid and the top of this LED setup. So when I go to stick these on, and I'll show you that process. Sorry, wire's getting in the way here. And you go to stick these on, you just kind of put those on top of the LED. Let those give you that gap that you need to ensure you have plenty of space between the top of that LED and your lid, and that way you will not interfere with the closing of the lid, keeping your lid, you know, as watertight as can be. So very simple. Like I said, it's double-sided tape. You really can't you know, complain about that, right? I mean, beach drilling holes. So we'll go ahead and get that done, but first got to get this seat off. Okay guys, so we've got this thing hooked up. Like I said, it's a very simple installation to do underneath your seat. Most of the connectors here are either color coded, they have some rhyme or reason to them, and I think, not 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident you can't plug this into any other plug into your seat. So if you grab the wrong one by mistake somehow, it's not going to plug in. So there's a black one here that looks just like the harness. I unplugged that, plug the harness into it, and then plug the motorcycle side into the harness, and that lets the lights flow through to the blades. I have them here just so I can see them a little easier. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and swap out these LED or the bulbs here for the LEDs. It's a pretty simple process. If you search around the edge of your lens, you'll find there's a little notch. Take a flathead screwdriver and just put it in the notch and give it a little twist, and that'll pop your cap for the lens right off. And then you can remove your bulb by giving it a simple twist. One of the things that I would recommend you pay attention to is when you're on 1157, your pegs are offset. So just pay mind to which one is the lower one, because when you put the other one in, instead of having to wrestle around with it, you'll know exactly what side it needs to be put on, because it can't be put on the other way as far as I know. So just keep that in mind. So I'm looking, the peg that is lower to the bottom of the bulb here is on the inner side. So I'm going to pay attention to that. And we'll put the new bulb in. So I'm looking at the pegs here. This is the lower peg. You want to just go ahead and insert that with a twist, and then install the new lens. Now for the lens piece of this, what you'll want to do is find that notch. Again, you want to make it so it's easily accessible. Don't put the notch on the inside here, because if you ever want to get it off, you're not going to be able to get a screwdriver easily in there. You'll have to use your fingernail or something to pry it off. And, you know, not that anybody be worried about breaking a nail if you're working on your bike, but, you know, you want to make sure you don't tear the dang thing off, right? Because that will suck too. So once you get it all lined up, you just press it on, and there you go. So let's take a look at what this thing looks like in comparison to your stock or standard bulb. So there's our running brake light. There's our turn signals or flash. So it's about as bright. It just looks a little cooler. I'll tell you from the front end. Let's take a look over here. You'll see I've already got these swapped out. These look way cooler as they kind of go back and forth from the Halo versus the Amber. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other side. And then I want to make a comment about my LED bars in between kind of getting these installed here and finishing out these other ones. So let me finish up this other side first and then we'll jump on that. All right, so now I've got the other one on. You can see it's cool. It's got like this little halo effect. Earlier in the video, as I was installing the LED saddlebag bars, we were looking at the brake light and they were turning amber. Um, in this process here, I actually took my bike in to get an alarm system put on because unfortunately I can't mic everything myself. It's got to be programmed and whatnot. So I got that put in, and in that process of being reflashed or whatever, now my saddlebag LEDs are working like they're supposed to. So if I hit the brake light, it'll get bright and steady. And then if I hit the turn signal or the emergency lights, it does the flash. Now, so that fixed itself. However, in that process, now the stock light bar here only works as a running and a turn signal. It does not do the brake light for some reason. So something's funky going on. I've reached out to the manufacturer of these LED bars just to see. They said they're going to ship me another control unit. I gave them the first symptoms where it was lighting up amber instead of red, but this is a little bit different. And I'm all right, guys. So reached out to the vendor, and I thought they were going to send me another one of these boxes, but instead they sent me this additional box to plug in. And while waiting for that, I also did some research, and I had mentioned I got the security system installed, and what I'm finding is when they do that installation, they swap out the BCM, so that's the body control module, which does control your lights. So when they did that, I don't know if they flashed the BCM to pick up my rear lights, or the brake lights I should say. I think they may have just plugged that in, flashed the ECU for the alarm system, but not the BCM. So I may end up going back to Harley and asking them to flash my BCM to get this thing righted. But for now, the stock brake light doesn't come on, but my saddlebag brake lights do, so I'm good, I'm safe, I'm not in any danger. And then when I do my turn signals, all of the white lights work normal. When I do the hazards, all of the lights work normal. It's only when I hit the brakes that the stock brake light bar doesn't work, but as I had mentioned, the saddlebag ones do. Again, trials and tribulations of doing the work. Hopefully I'll get it reset, and when I get that opportunity, I'll do an update video. Until then, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like, the thumbs up. If you enjoy my content, consider subscribing. And if you don't want to miss out on that next video I produce every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can hit that notification bell. It'll alert you as soon as that video is posted. Until then, I'll see you in the wind.